we live with this story, the story that we're not quite ourselves yet, that there's a better version of us waiting somewhere behind the fear, the shame, and the trauma. And one day, if we just think enough, reflect enough, feel enough, that deeper self will emerge. But that's not how it works. We know that. The person you imagine yourself to be, that ideal version, is just that, an idea, an ideal. And every time you invoke it as a defense, you're not growing, you're hiding. And this is what this video is about. It's not about healing, it's not about inner peace, it's about killing. It's about killing the imagined self so that finally something real, something actual can take its place. I recently finished watching BoJack Horseman. It's a multifaceted show. Let's put it like that. And I quite enjoyed it. Actually, it's quite good. It's not the best show, but it's I understand why people like it, and it explores lots of things from morality to trauma. And there's obviously going to be spoilers in this video, but let's talk BoJack Horseman. BoJack Horseman is a once famous actor, Horsey, best known for starring in the 90s sitcom show Horsing Around. The show made him rich and recognizable, but after it ended, his career stalled and he faded into cultural irrelevance. He lives alone in a modern mansion in the Hollywood Hills. Actually, he lives with Todd, who's just is that technically just a random guy who overstayed his visit. Let's put it like that. He spends most of his time drinking, taking drugs, and avoiding people, and also like telling Todd like you're useless, Todd, which is a little bit hilarious. But he's known for being cynical, self-destructive, and emotionally volatile, but also deeply intelligent and really self-aware. In the earlier seasons, he's meant to be a bit relatable, as much as you can relate to a horse living in a Hollywood mansion, I guess. But yeah, Bojack is often reflective, prone to long periods of depression and isolation. He pushes people away, even the few who really care about him. Despite his fame and wealth, he struggles with feelings of worthlessness, guilt, and a desperate need for approval. He's someone who can cry, who can apologize, who can dissect his trauma, and there is a lot of trauma to his story, and spiral through guilt, and yet he keeps hurting people who simply needed him to act. For example, Herb Kazaz, pretty much Bojack's best friend for a very long time, the man who made him famous, the man who gave him his career, the maker of Horsing Around, his 90s show, who believed in Bojack when no one else did, literally, because he was like on stage and Bojack was trying to do stand up and was constantly just asking, "Do you get it? Do you get the joke, right?" And he tells him, "Dude, cut that shit, bro." And when Herb was publicly outed and fired for being gay, Bojack did not fight for him. He told himself his hands were tied. The manager just went up to him and told him, "You're not going to be there," and she really told him that she's going to fire him and you can't do anything about it. That he had no choice. And he stayed, took the money, and just stayed silent. Decades later, he goes to Herb, who's now uh, a cancer patient. He's dying of cancer, pretty much. And he begs for his forgiveness. And Herb acknowledges that and says, "Okay, I don't forgive you." And Bojack really breaks because that's the moment he realizes that intention means nothing. He didn't act. And the show gives him a chance to redeem himself. Once again, redemption, it's a common theme. One could argue that the show is about exploring the limits of redemption. Like when can this character finally be like irredeemable? When can he be like, no, he's not going to the good side. He's not. Mm-mm. But okay, similar story. BoJack is finally able to star. BoJack is finally able to star in his dream role, the Secretariat. It's like a racing hall that was his childhood hero. It's actually a real thing, like the Secretariat, like a really fast horsey. I don't know, and he really impressed the director, Kelsey Jennings, a director who gave BoJack a shot, a shot at real depth because he's washed up. Like his show was in the 90s, is what 2017, 18, something like that. And like, who's gonna want a washed up actor from the 90s to play a truly emotional role? But she really gave him a shot at this depth, at this real emotional depth. And when BoJack convinced her to break into the Nixon Museum, I believe, to film a scene, she was skeptic, right? I don't want to break into the museum just because we want this Nixon shot or whatever. And yeah, but BoJack convinced her, and then they showed the footage to like the managers, and guess what? She broke studio rules to film something meaningful, and BoJack backed her until it was inconvenient. She got fired, and BoJack vanished. He pretended he fought for her, but he didn't. There's even a whole like underwater episode where he wants to apologize, but just cannot because well, he writes on paper, but it's underwater, so it goes away. And then he realizes at the end of the episode that he has like a thingy that he can talk underwater. It's quite nice, but he pretended he fought for her, but he didn't. Because BoJack is not evil. He's complicated, but most importantly, he is weak. And weakness, when it hides behind layers of guilt and self-pity, can be just as destructive as malice. In fact, you'd rather feel guilty than feel scared because guilt means you did something wrong, but fear means you have to do something different. You have to do something else that you don't want. And BoJack is frequently told that he's a coward. He's told this by like the deer woman at the beginning of his career, which he really likes, and then even pays a nice visit to her and her family. He's told he's a coward, and he's kind of okay with that view because, okay, you tell a powerless person that he's a powerless, like, oh well, what can you do? But when you tell a supposedly weak person that they do hold power, they go insane. Their system just blows up. In the very last season, in season 6, BoJack is accused of abusing power in a sort of interview setting, especially towards women. He's stunned. He says he's heard men as well, and yeah, in the media it was more of this violence against women narrative, which is true, but the problem is he genuinely does not understand because his whole life is built around this belief that he is powerless, powerless to addiction, powerless to his past, powerless to his emotions, to Hollywood. But that's not the truth. And even Todd, the random guy who just decided to live with him, tells him that all the things that are wrong with him are him. It's not the alcohol, it's not this, it's not that. It is him. BoJack has power and has had it for a long time. He just refused to acknowledge it. Because if you're powerless, you don't owe anyone anything. You don't have to take responsibility. You just get to say, I meant well. And also, at the end of season 6, the woman who fired Hope Kazaz, Angela, like the manager who said, you're gay, people don't like that, you're fired, admits that she was bluffing, that if BoJack really insisted to stay with Herb, she would have shown him a 2-7 off-suit hand and wouldn't fire Herb or Bojack. And upon realizing that, Bojack really snaps. Like these two scenes, like this interview and this interview where he realizes he has power, and the conversation he has with his former manager. These are the actual moments where he really snaps, where it's really like intense. It's really intense for him to process because he says, "Oh, I'm bad, I'm whatever." He doesn't really believe that he's bad. I don't think anyone truly believes that deep down they are bad. Bojack isn't outright evil. Diane even says like there are no good people or bad people. They're just people, and most people cling to that line because it feels freeing. But it's only freeing if you ignore what comes next, the weight of what you choose. We say we love people, we say we care about them, we say we die for them. I love you, I die for you. But would we eat healthy for them? Would we exercise for them? It's like this common narrative, right? It's a pretty common saying, but it's this thing, right? You say you die for them, but would you eat healthy for them? Would you call when they really need you? Would you get up when it is uncomfortable? What matters isn't what you intend, it is what you do. Intention is the currency of cowards. The show makes that very, very clear. And Bojack intended to fight for her, but he didn't. Bojack intended to stand by Kelsey. He didn't. Bojack intended to apologize, right? In this, Bojack intended lots of things, but ultimately he was too weak. And by the time he maybe could redeem himself, it was too late. Imagine we imagine a deeper self inside us that holds all the good we wanted to do, but you are not what you wish. It's not like a wish list of who you are. You are what you do, and this theme of supposed hidden goodness appears everywhere in the series, whether it's Bojack's mother, who did love him in her own weird, abusive way. You better be worth it. You destroyed my beauty. You destroyed my life. You better be worth something. Like, I guess she loved him deep down. I don't know. But to Diane saying she doesn't believe in deep down and that you are what you do. But this belief is deeply rooted in our culture everywhere you go, from Christianity, where a pure soul, an essence of goodness of a person, is corrupted by bodily desires and sin, to romanticism, where the individual is inherently good. It's societies and institutions that distort this goodness, to even popular psychology, like pop psychology, where all people are seen as good but hurt, right? They're good but weak. We love that narrative, not just Bojack, but so many other anti-heroes like Walter White. It's just playing with the audience. When will the character become irredeemable? When does the harm that they have caused cease to be justified by their flaws but deep down inner good? Strong soul but weak action. Now, Nietzsche. Nietzsche didn't believe in virtue for the weak. In his work on morality, on the genealogy of morality, he argues that the morality we are taught to be meek, forgiving, humble, wasn't created by saints. It was created by people with no power. He says before that master morality ruled. So aristocratic values, right? Like strength, pride, but also cruelty, right? And what the powerless did is an inversion of said values. You have pride, you master. Well, you're my master. This master morality, I'm like the slave. You have pride. You have pride. I will be humble. You are cruel, so I will be kind. You are strong, so I'll be good. You can act, so I'll sit here and feel superior for not acting. He calls it slave morality, a kind of virtue invented by the powerless to feel righteous without risking anything. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded, Nietzsche says. Real morality requires strength in classic Nietzsche fashion. People cling not just to power, but to powerlessness. Bojack's story is that he's a victim, and he says, yes, of all the harm that he's caused, he is the biggest victim, right? And when Diane says, no, it's actually another person, he really doesn't like that. That kills his narrative. Bojack, he's a victim. He didn't mean to. He didn't choose it. He didn't choose that life. Because if he isn't powerful, he isn't guilty. But that's a lie. There are moments where clear, irreversible moments when he could have taken responsibility, and he didn't. He never really does. People stay weak because it gives them cover, because it makes their lives smaller, easier. But if you're too weak to stand up for yourself, you'll never stand up for anyone else, for any beliefs that you have. So don't mistake your weakness for virtue. Don't confuse your failure to act with wisdom. You're not good because you feel guilt. You become good by becoming strong enough to carry this weight, this actual weight of your actions. You want to be better, but you also want to hold on to the idea that your flaws are deep, that your pain is profound, that your weakness is justified. And maybe it is, but that doesn't matter anymore, because none of that makes you moral, none of that makes you real. If you want to be someone people can trust, if you want to respect yourself, you have to act. Show your love, take responsibility, even when it's humiliating, and most importantly, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe as well. I'll be pleased. Okay, but the imagined self, the one you think that is hiding inside, that wants to subscribe but doesn't really, waiting to be discovered, is fake. And you have to burn it. Or at the very least, burn the belief that it will justify anything. You performing this tragedy, waiting for someone to forgive you, waiting for closure, waiting to be saved. But no one can save you. Not the real imagined you, not anyone else, not a YouTube video. Only you can save yourself by standing up. Being hurt doesn't make you deep. Feeling guilt doesn't make you good. Knowing the problem doesn't mean you're fixing it. Because the imagined self, your ideal, it will never stand up and love you back. And with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you very much.